Hello, dear viewers. Delighted to meet you once again to live the passion of the most beautiful sport, and especially the World Cup, which is in full mode in Russia. It will also be discussed in this program, the titles of which are as follows. In summary, the Senegal is disappointed. The Teranga Lions missed out on Sunday's victory over Japan and now have to wait to play Colombia on Thursday to see if they qualify or bow out. Already 3 African teams out. Meanwhile, 3 of the continent's 5 representatives have already packed their bags. Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia are the first African teams to be eliminated from the tournament. We discussed this with our consultant Alassane Dia, with whom we will also come back to the resurrection of Nigeria. And the Super Eagles play their final group match against Argentina. A win is enough for them to qualify for the round of 16. They may have regrets. The Lions of Senegal couldn't do better than a draw against Japan on Sunday after leading twice. It is a result that forces Sadio Mane's teammates to play their qualification against Colombia next Thursday in Group H, where only Poland is eliminated. However, while Senegal still have a chance to qualify, Egypt, Morocco and Tunisia, 3 of the continent's 5 representatives, are out of the competition, but they are not the only ones packing, as this list shows. Let's talk about Nigeria, who, after their welcome slap against Croatia, gave themselves more than a reprieve in this World Cup. The Super Eagles' victory over Iceland kept the dream of reaching the round of 16 alive. To do that, they will have to beat Argentina on Tuesday. Uzezi Bridget Ugwe and Afolake Oinloye report.
It's a double or nothing for Nigeria. This Tuesday, the Super Eagles will face Argentina in a final duel, at the end of which the loser would have to leave the World Cup tournament. The Super Eagles kept their hopes of reaching a knockout stages after beating Iceland 2-0 in the second Group D match on Friday. They play Argentina on Tuesday in their last group match and must avoid a defeat to qualify from the group. Nigeria only need to avoid defeat to qualify for the round of 16 and hope Croatia beats Iceland in the group's decisive encounters on Tuesday. Ahead of the game, Nigeria's head coach is worried about Moses' attitude, as the Chelsea player has failed to play a pivotal role at the tournament. Nigeria's attacker Mohamed Musa is now the country's all-top scorer in World Cup games with 4 goals.
We are now with our analyst Alassane Dia, a CAF coaching instructor. Hey coach, first we start with the Lions draw against Japan. The least we can say is that the Lions have regrets, right?
Senegal will be regretting. It's a real shame because when you know a little bit about the World Cup, there are more difficult matches. And for you to take the lead twice in both halves of the game and get pegged back after some few minutes, there was some lack of concentration, but I won't say they were complacent. I think that the match started on a good note when Senegal took the early lead, which suggested that they were going to trouble their opponents and finish them off. But curiously, the players dropped their level of play and allowed the Japanese quietly into the game. There was some complacency after the first goal. They relaxed a little bit and were punished for it because the Japanese never gave up. They continued to attack. They probed the defense. With good team effort, they finally found a way to breach the Senegalese backline and equalized each time.
3 African teams have already been eliminated: Egypt, Morocco and Tunisia. A disappointment, don't you agree?
Yes, I think it must be said. The African teams exiting from the competition have left a mixed impression to varying degrees. Because Morocco was still very eye-catching, very determined, a lot of commitment, but maybe their opponents were too strong. With Tunisia, I think I saw players losing focus in their match against Belgium as the goals were being scored. And it is extremely serious at this level. Egypt came to the World Cup already affected by the fact that its key man, its leader, the one who represents their offensive power, could not genuinely perform well on the field. In this case, Mohamed Salah, who was not fully fit from his shoulder injury, and it must be admitted, his presence was more psychological than a presence of performance in the team.
The fifth team, Nigeria, have recharged and played their final group game against Argentina on Tuesday. In view of this match against Iceland and the Albicelestes' difficulties, there is clearly room for qualification.
Anyway, there are some World Cups where we never thought it was possible for Nigeria because we realized that every time Nigeria had to meet teams like Argentina or the South American nations, they failed. But for this 2018 World Cup, there is really room for Nigeria to seize this opportunity because this Argentina team is really poor. It's a completely disorganized team. They have not played any good football from their last 2 games so far. If Nigeria remains focused, if Nigeria attaches seriousness to the game like they did against Iceland, we could hope to see an African nation qualifying into the next round of the competition against a rather Argentina team. But beware of the Argentinians, who know very well that their destiny lies in their own hands, will certainly react. This is why it is necessary for Nigeria to defend very well and not concede goals like they did against Croatia.
Thank you very much, Alassane Dia. See you in our daily program dedicated to this World Cup. It's Monday to Friday starting at 6:30 GMT. And if Nigeria wins against Argentina, Ahmed Musa would be one of the reasons why the CSKA Moscow striker who scored twice against Iceland will be the Super Eagles' greatest asset against Argentina, who have done well for him. Chancellor Ningwilimbi and Afolake Oinloye report.
He's seen as a savior and fans were not disappointed. Ahmed Musa made his debut on Friday after Croatia's inaugural defeat of the Super Eagles. The CSKA Moscow striker, who scored twice and above all put up an extraordinary performance, extinguished the flames of Iceland's fierce and eye-catching attack. But this game against Iceland puts Musa back in the spotlight like 4 years ago in Brazil. Speed is one of the chief advantages of the 25-year-old striker. Between Musa's first World Cup brace in 2014 and his second in 2018, there was a gap of 272 tournament minutes. Ahmed Musa, who has already scored twice against the same Albiceleste at the Brazilian World Cup, hopes to do the same but this time around with a positive result. Argentina has its Messi and Nigeria has its Musa.
See you this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Universal Time, but watch out for Lionel Messi and his teammates, who have so far plunged Argentina into great sadness. An atmosphere that sums up the whole situation of this Argentine team. The World Cup, as we know, is also the meeting place for the great stars of world football, and they are often a source of inspiration, not only for the young people, but also artists like this Russian painter who had fun representing some of them through art. He is Ozezi Bridget Ugwe and Ronald Kato. Ronaldo, Cantona or Paul Pogba, like you've never seen them before. Since Wednesday, portraits of football stars, present and past, are the subject of an exhibition at the Academy of Fine Arts of St. Petersburg in Russia. 40 portraits of legendary players made by an Italian artist rub shoulders with sculptures of Greek gods as part of an exhibition named Like Gods.
I paint them like historical, more like generals, like leaders, because I think that there is very much epic in football, in sport in general, but in football in particular, because I'm a fan of this sport.
Fabrizio makes his portraits in digital painting technique, that is, they are made using a graphic program instead of paint and brushes. An idea that started with a simple joke and the artist's passion for football, a sport that blurs borders.
Football players are really important for society today because you know, football is really moving people, moving passion from all around the world, and in some way they can unite people.
Unite as is the case during this World Cup, which has attracted hundreds of thousands from all walks of life to Russia. As for the winner of the competition, Fabrizio does not reveal who was his favorite. In short, before I leave you, just to inform you that Rabah Madjer is no longer Algeria's coach. The former Phoenix star was fired from his post on Sunday just 8 months after his appointment. He was blamed for the team's poor show. And it's over for Football Planet. On our website, www.africanews.com, we also want to hear from you. Your reactions are welcome to the addresses that appear on the bottom of your screen. Football Planet returns next week with Victor Musho. Have an excellent week. Goodbye.